on, talk.
So the question today is why he ignores me, right? Or like why he ignores you. Well, I don't know. We'll start out with why he ignores you, right? The reasons that he ignores you. And then at the end of the video, like towards the end of the video, we're a solution-based channel. So we'll give you some solutions to the fact or to what to do when he ignores you. So anyway, why he ignores you. First of all, I mean, like the biggest one is he's just an asshole. Like that's how that works, right? Like, he's maybe like super selfish. I don't know. Everybody has a different relationship, and everybody has a different kind of way of maneuvering through growth, right? So sometimes a guy, like myself and with BB, like we dated, and then all of a sudden I came to this place where I was super scared of like taking the next step. So my way of avoiding that pain or that struggle or that change was to ignore her. She didn't like it.
I hated it.
It's not fun, right? It wasn't malicious. It was just selfish, right? So a lot of the ignoring thing is selfishness. We automatically, from all the people that we talk to, because we have another project too that deals with a lot of different topics, and this is like one of the biggest topics. So what happens is a lot of people automatically believe that they are distancing themselves specifically because of the relationship. And that's sometimes, right? Probably more than not, that's what's going on. But we have this tendency to like overlook the fact that maybe there's something else going on. We had previous videos where we talked about men having, going through things, and a lot of us go inward. I do. For sure. Like I go inward when I am uncomfortable or I'm in fear, right? Or I'm in pain. I do it with physical pain and I do it with emotional pain. A lot of my friends do the same thing. So the reason that he moves in a different direction or he's ignoring you can be a lot of factors, but there's like really only a few that it tends to be. One is that he's going through something very serious within himself, some kind of emotional growth that is needing to happen when it comes to whatever, right? It doesn't even have to be you. It just is he's growing in some way, right? Whether it's work or work and finance are kind of the same thing. Whether it's work or the fact that he's getting older. And he doesn't know what to do, what he wants to do in life, right? That sometimes makes us kind of get inward and go, what do I do, right? Am I wasting my time in life? Like those kinds of questions come up. Those come up for both sexes, right? Men or women. But in general, we're talking about men right now. So that's what'll come up. That's what came up for me. Stagnation. Right? Staying in the same place, being comfortable, not realizing that being comfortable means that you're really moving backwards. That's how that kind of operates. So the next one is that he is disinterested in the relationship, right? That's kind of the big trigger one for everyone. He might be. Like that's kind of the truth of the matter. Being realistic as to the fact that this is an individual and it's a human being and it's not you, and he has his own stuff going on and he has his own wants and his own needs, they're going to sometimes move in a different direction. And one of the signs of that is he starts to be distant, which means that he starts to kind of ignore you, right? Things that were happening in the past, that's not happening anymore, right? The amount of times that he talks to you or calls you or how he talks to you, those things change. So that's kind of like the two biggest ones, obviously. And then there's kind of like other ones too that aren't as big, but they kind of happen sometimes. basically he's not growing or doing anything or going through any struggle, or he's not leaving the relationship, right? Or he's not struggling with the relationship. So the next option would be that he is just a selfish piece of shit. Like, that's just how that one is, right? Maybe he just found a guy that's super selfish, and he's never going to change. So those are things that you kind of like try and notice, like, he could be a manipulator. At the beginning, he's super nice and he's one way, and then all of a sudden it changes. It's not because he's disinterested in you. It's just because he's acting the way that he really is. And he realized over time that he can't get to date any women if he acts this way all the time, or, at the beginning. So he changed how he acts, and he acts this way. And then all of a sudden, once he gets into the relationship and he realizes that you like him or whatever, he turns into the real person, right? These are all kind of the three kind of bigger ones that we keep our eyes open for. So that's that. Now, kind of F all that. Now we deal with the solutions. The first one, if he's growing, right? This is the one that I like the most, specifically because our channel, me, right, BB, we kind of go about the world as take ownership for your own life. We have victim things happen to us, and sometimes we're the perpetrator, right? But neither one of those things should define us, right? And sometimes we get stuck in one or the other. And the goal is to get in the middle, right? Is I'm not either one of these things. One of these things might have happened, or I might have done these things, but the reality is they don't define me, and I need to get back to center and realize and get back to me, basically. So I love this topic the most. This is the one that I hope is happening, right? When he's just trying to grow and he's very uncomfortable with that situation. The best thing you can possibly do is not over talk. Meaning, if you bring that fear to him that he's leaving, or you're not sure which one it is, and he's not really opening up yet, that's going to push him further away because he doesn't want to talk about it yet, right? Notice, is his actions towards you changing, right? He might be more distant, but he still might be doing the same things. That means that he's really struggling with something and wanting to grow, but it doesn't have anything to do with you. That's something that we miss, right? Forget what people say and see what they do. That's the most important part that I've ever noticed of reading people and realizing what they are, right? So see that, right? That's your first thing that you look for, is like, has his actions changed? And we're talking extreme action change, right? Not, he used to spend 5 minutes or 20 minutes talking to me and now he spends 19. Don't worry about that one, right? And then kind of the way to help him through it, right, is always be open to that conversation. Meaning, like, present the fact that you're not going to judge whatever he says to you, right? You don't have a clue. No one has an idea of what is going on inside of that man. And if you're open to him talking to you, and he feels open to that, then all of a sudden he'll eventually tell you what's going on, and then you can help him fix that problem, or just be support for that problem, or that growth, because it's not always a problem. But that's another one too, is just be there, right? Be loving and caring and not judgmental, and try not to fall too far into your own fear, so that you're dealing with, you're pushing all this extra pressure on him when he's already going through something. And I know it's frustrating when somebody doesn't tell you what's going on. There is a time limit to this. Meaning, if he's been like this for 2, 3, 4 weeks, month, and he's still not saying anything, then you got to have a sit down with him and say, look, I don't know what's going on with you, but you got to open up to me, because I can't live the way that we're living right now. and you obviously can't live the way that you're living right now. And it's affecting the relationship, and it's affecting me in a negative way, right? Because I love you and I want the best for you. And if you're not going to open up to me, then there's nothing we can do, right? Sometimes a little pressure is good, but that's only after, like 3 weeks, a month, or something like that, when you really notice that. So there's kind of solutions to that. The biggest one is just stay open, and don't judge him too much and put your fear onto him. The second one is that he is basically leaving the relationship. And that's also a big one too. The fact is that you stay open as well. It's the same method, right? Stay open. But also, the first thing I said with the solution to the first one is see his actions. If his actions have changed, that means that he's probably moving in another direction. And what the questions that we get a lot is, how do we get him back? If he doesn't want to come back, he's not going to come back. That's as straightforward as I can possibly put it. We try and be very direct with you because, we only have so much time in this life, so what's the point of like trying to coddle feelings and shit? If his actions have changed, there needs to be like, hey, let's go to dinner. Really, let's go to dinner. Set up a dinner date within the two of you guys, and then go to dinner, and then bring that shit up, and bring that shit up in public first, because it'll calm him. It can't really like blah 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 blah, because he'll be defensive if he's leaving the relationship, and then when you bring up that conversation, basically say how you feel about what's going on, and not you're leaving, right? Don't bring that shit up. Specifically talk about how you feel in the relationship, how his actions or inaction and how he is ignoring you is, emotionally ignoring you or whatever, right? How that's affecting you on the inside, right? How that's affecting your day to day. Because you obviously want to be with this person. You obviously love this person. And when somebody that you love is starting to move in a different direction and their actions are changing, that little button, that little thing inside of you starts going off. And it's like, oh shit. And then that fear happens because we don't want to go through the pain of somebody leaving us. Like, that's a real thing. And we know that. We know that pain from the past, and we don't want to have it happen in the future or in the present. So we put ourselves in these unbelievably difficult situations specifically to avoid that pain, right? So basically you stay in a relationship for an extra 6 months because you don't want to feel the pain, and neither does he, right? And then all of a sudden at the end, you guys both have this big blowout and it's over, and then you have 6 months more or 2 years or a year more pain, right? So sit him down, ask him what's going on, point out, and then after you say how you feel about it, point out how exactly he is different than he was before. And this isn't like a you, right? Also, after that, say, what do you need from me? Like, what do you need from me to keep this going if you want to keep this going? Because how it's going cannot continue. That to me is the best way to deal with that. And if he's not wanting to go talk to you about this stuff, then fuck that guy. He needs to go, because he's not being open and honest about what's actually going on within him and what's going on with you in the relationship. And don't let your fear of having pain get in the way of your instincts and how you really see the situation. The best thing I was ever taught in my whole life is whatever situation I'm in, it's an emotional thing, right? I'm in an emotional situation and I'm in it. The best thing I was ever taught in my whole life is separate myself. Imagine that this is happening to somebody that you love, and they tell you the exact same story that you're going through. How would you perceive that situation? And 9 times out of 10, it's different than how you're perceiving it when you're in the situation. So try and do that too. And then the last one is that he's basically just a selfish piece of shit. These guys are not hard to find. They're not all the time, but they're pretty easy to pick out. That means that there's a huge swing, right? At the beginning, he was loving and caring, and he was just the best of the best, and you told all your friends, and you told your family, and you're like, this is the guy, and then all of a sudden he turns into this ignoring asshole, right? That guy's simple to see, right? When that happens, you can have a talk with him, right? Just go, hey, why are you being an asshole, right? Why did you change so much? And then he'll say, I didn't change. And you go, go fuck off. Go somewhere else, right? Those guys are surprisingly the simplest to, they have the simplest solution to them, but it's like one of the hardest solutions because there's this ego thing that happens within us that we're like, we're not good enough. Like, we're not good enough for this guy. And you want to make it, you want to make it work. And it's so funny to me, or not funny, but it's interesting to me how because of our egos, we will go through just absolute pain and struggle fighting for this thing and this guy that for this person that we know doesn't like us and we know is not going to work, but yet we sit there and we fight and fight and fight and go through struggle and struggle and struggle to get this person, and it's literally only to kind of get the upper hand so that we can be powerful and then leave. It's not a long-term thing, right? This shit, that's a toxic relationship full on. So if you find yourself in those relationships, we'll probably have some other videos down the line about that kind of thing, specifically. What?
Subscribe.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Like, subscribe, and comment. I always forget to do that, right? So anyways, if you have any questions about any of this stuff, or you have any comments, a different perspective, right? Please comment on that. And then if you have any other questions that you want to know, comment on it, and then we'll talk about it some other day. So have a wonderful day, and I hope I said some stuff that, was good.